Here we go.
Good music.
Morning, everybody.
We're live.
Happy Pride Month. Today is Wednesday, June 2nd, and obviously the theme of the day, because you know what gays love things, is Pride Month, and we're going to talk a little bit about it after the news. And good morning, Christian.
Hey,
I saw your little pride garb there. That was pretty sweet.
Did you recognize me?
No,
yeah,
I had no
wasn't
idea
sure.
who you were.
Yeah,
Who's that
I
masked
figured. Well, I was scrambling looking for my pride gear, my suspenders, and I have the lei, and I think we have a hat. Anyway, so there was a bunch of pride gear that I had, and some of it I couldn't wear. So, but this is the. I'm joking.
You saved that for the campgrounds.
Yes, I'm joking.
For the campgrounds.
Yes, as Jenny said, welcome to Coffee and Ponduce, everyone. Today is June the 2nd. It is Pride Month. We're going to be talking about Pride. We get the entire month to talk about it, and actually probably even longer now that Jenny's going to share with us what's going on here in Mecklenburg County and the Charlotte Pride information. This is Coffee and Ponduce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts. We are all excited about June. We're just giddy. And we may get rain today here in North Carolina. So I don't think so, but
I don't believe them. I waited all weekend so I didn't have to water my new grass. And it's like, oh, come on, 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Well, Christian, if we can't get rain from the sky, we'll just have to make it rain ourselves.
That's true. Oh, good. Hey, that was good. I like that one. All right. So
get those dollar bills out.
I just got that now. Okay. I was like, where's he going with that? All right. So let's talk about, well, actually, let's go around the Brady Bunch screen. Introduce yourselves and your imaginary button. It allows me to share us on our social media platforms. So the Brady Bunch screen is, I'll just say it. Okay.
Yeah, just do it.
Okay. How about Jenny, Stephen, Barbara, and Rafael? All right. There you go.
Well, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. Happy Pride Month. I'm super excited that it's June for a lot of reasons. I love summer. My buttons today would be, protect trans kids, Black Lives Matter, and, love is love. And maybe we need a little bit more of that and a little less hate.
I'm Stephen D. Fiore. Happy Pride Month, everybody. My buttons are, as always, all the things that Christian loves, go guns, low taxes for corporations. On a serious note, though, end the wars overseas, the wars for oil. I don't see why the United States has to bankroll that. Let's end certificate of need laws that make healthcare more expensive than it needs to be in North Carolina. And let's end occupational licensing laws in the state that make it harder for people to find and make work for themselves when they already have barriers, right? We don't need extra ones, and that's that.
Hi, good morning. I'm Barb Bacon. I'm a healthcare advocate here in South Charlotte, and I found my button for the smart button we got when that nice lady came and talked to us. I can't remember what her name is. This is especially sad for me this morning. I don't know if any of you watched the news, but a 12-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl ran away from their foster home yesterday and broke into a house and found an AK-47 and some other guns and proceeded to shoot at sheriffs. And the 14-year-old girl is fighting for her life.
Oh, no.
And that sheriff was hopping mad on the news this morning. Why children? Why are these guns in homes? And she's probably going to die. And they didn't say too much about the boy, but 12 and 14? Really sad, really sad. So anyway, gun control and Medicare for all. And I found my now button too, Jenny. So, and happy Pride Month, everybody.
Rafael?
My name is Rafael Prieto. I'm a journalist here in Charlotte. My my government is immigration reform. Plus, right now, Colombia, the country of my origin, lives a very hard time. So I hope everything in my country change for the good.
Thank you, Rafael. That's a terrible story, Barb. I hadn't heard about that one, but yeah, I mean, it seems like it happens way too often. So let's talk about very quickly within like the next 7 minutes, let's talk about current events, and we'll go around the Brady Bunch screen, which is Jenny, Stephen, Barbara, and Rafael. St. Bernie he just watches while he's on here. And we're going to talk about 3 topics in 30 seconds or less. I guess they could call it like this is our flash round. I don't know. We can,
Yep.
yeah, let's do it that way. We just don't have the buzzer. Yeah, and
It'll
once
be
again,
the news flash dance.
that's right. No, we're Mama Ruthless again today. Mama Ruth, we do miss you today. We hope you are watching us on the things that you're doing today. So let's talk about we'll talk about the CMS budget. The Mecklenburg County Commissioners here in Charlotte, North Carolina, they voted to approve their budget, which does not. They're withholding $56 million of the 126, they're holding a percentage of the money they would normally give to the school system. Yeah, it's kind of complicated. They're holding they're holding a percentage of the money there's normally would give to the school system that us taxpayers have paid to give to the school system. And we want to see how you feel about that. And there's reasons why they're holding it, because the test scores for Black and brown students are really low during the last several years, and they want a plan before they release it. So anyway, we'll talk about that. Second thing is cicadas. We've been talking about that once again. I just came from Georgia. I did not see any. I think they're I don't think they're real. I think it's fake news, or as Stephen says, fake news. How do you do it, Steve? Fake. It's fake news. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is these President Biden has instructed his intelligence agency within 30 days to get to the bottom of the coronavirus origin, whether it did come from the lab, whether it came from as much information as we have. He has instructed our intelligence agency and scientists. It was a lot of things that he did with that, which is very interesting because Stephen has been talking about that for the past, since last March, I believe, so forth. So let's go around the Brady Bunch screen in 30 seconds or less on each of those topics. Tell us what you think about, if you even care about any of those topics. So Jenny, you go first.
So I'm pretty pissed off about the whole cicada thing. I thought they'd have a coming out party in June. I feel gypped. I don't think it's fake news. I just think they don't want to come to North Carolina for some reason. I'm pretty upset about that, actually. And the whole coronavirus thing, I think it's important to know the origin story of the virus and how it typically was in animals only and moved to humans, whether it was a man-made bridge or just bad luck. We don't know. It's just like HIV, and how it went from primates to humans, and was brutal. And so, I mean, it is a serious thing. I think it'll help us fight it. I think it'll help us fight the deal. The punitive part, that if indeed it's China's fault, I'm not really interested in that. I don't think it serves any purpose. For the most part, I think it's just a lot of performative politics, and people wanting to get pissed off at China and trying to find a reason. And then I don't remember the school budget. I just think, the Board of County Commissioners, speaking of performative politics, this has been an issue for years, and it's been under the watch of George Dunlap for years. So this isn't like a brand new thing. So, I guess next year's a re-election year. So George has to have his own little pride parade and flail around and get all upset about school performance in the middle of a pandemic. So I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't defund schools so often. I'm sure it'll help to withhold money. It'll really help with infrastructure. So yeah. That's it for me.
Thank you, Jenny. Hey, Stephen, before you go, just 1 second. I forgot. salute to our neighbors, Coffee and Ponduce. None of you are reminded
We
me.
screwed up there.
Yeah, we sure do. We missed a hoe. So Coffee and Ponduce. Also, we want to thank Manolo's Bakery, our Ponduce sponsor. I started eating this cookie this morning. So Manolo's
pig?
Bakery.
There's no
Yes.
pig.
So Manolo's Bakery in Central Avenue here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Please visit your Black and brown businesses during this global pandemic. Now, Stephen, please. I'm sorry, Stephen.
You feel like you're following a commercial? Sorry.
Oh, you're muted,
Oh,
Stephen. Yep. Nope.
What about now?
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
All right.
there he is.
All right.
All right, there he is.
I swear I'm not a boomer. I know how to do technology. Maybe I am. I don't know. I have a whole bunch of records behind me. So I'll be quick. CMS, I don't know a whole lot about the internal politics that are going on, but CMS is a very large institution. And, you know, we all know that CMS in some way, shape, or form is failing students in our city. But these big institutions do not turn on a dime. There's a lot of resistance to changing things for the better at every level, at the individual school level, at the administrative level, and at the political level. Because let's face it, these politicians are self-interested. And so for me, it's a really good example of why more options and choice in schooling is necessary for people, right? And to make those choices more accessible. Like right now, if you live in the wealthy areas of South Park, right, and you're doing pretty well, you're middle class or upper middle class, you have choices. You can send your kid to a private school, you can do a charter school, you can homeschool, you can do all kinds of things. But if you're like working class or poor, you might not have as many options because they're not financially feasible. Better systems to enable more people to have those access to those better choices, I think, is a good idea. I mean, real reform in education in North Carolina is needed. The state is really good on homeschooling, right? If that's an option that people want to take. The charter school program is incredibly popular across the state. Reforms to make those things more accessible to more people, right? And this provides an actual incentive for the schools to actually get better, because if you start seeing students, you know, being taken out of these public schools that aren't doing well, that's a real kick in the pants of administrators to say, okay, now we really have to change something. Because right now, if the school's failing, all you can do as a parent is complain if you don't have the option to send your kid somewhere else. And so what is the incentive for the administrators to actually do something? You know, oh, every 2 to 4 years, some people are going to complain in the news, right? So that's not really a good thing.
Okay.
So we'll see where that goes. You know, maybe it'll be a good thing or not. Back to the cicadas again. I think it's fake news. I think it's fake. I think it's a China-Russian conspiracy.
Okay.
I haven't seen a single one. I don't think
Yeah.
they're real. They're like UFOs.
And in 30 seconds, Stephen, Corona Lab.
Yeah, so the real story, in my opinion, is how the lab leak hypothesis went from being censored on social media and mass media to now being mainstreamed. Now, here's the thing. You know, it could have jumped from Chiroptera to humans naturally, or it could have been the result of addifunction research. Whichever way it is, the approach to, you know, mitigating the spread of a disease is necessary. So you just need more information so you know what to do with your response. The fact that for an entire year, a valid hypothesis was deemed a conspiracy theory and not allowed to be talked about in the public sphere, in both mass media, in the public sphere, and on social media, I think is a real, it's a real bad and dangerous precedent. And it highlights why censorship is such a bad thing. Because even if you're wrong, being able to talk about things is necessary to figure out what's going on in the world. So we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. All right. Barbara.
I agree with Stephen. Hurry up and wait. With my pharmaceutical background, I'm very eager to see what happens, but with Dr. Fauci and some of the big names talking about it now, I am encouraged that maybe we'll get to the bottom of it. What's going to come of it, I don't know. Cicadas, don't care. I just, no. the CMS county commission situation is more than complicated. It's power, it's money. I sat through a Zoom call a couple of Fridays ago, and it was like bad body language from those two groups. And then we have our poor Sean Strain trying to present and be reasonable. And I'm shocked. Some people that I know think Sean's arrogant, and I don't. But I don't know. It's such a mess. We're forgetting the whole point. It's about the kids.
Sure.
And we don't care about you guys.
Yep.
But holding back money does not solve the situation. It makes it worse.
Yep.
So I'm done.
Thank you, Rafael.
Regarding the CMS Committee of Commissioners, I believe it's a very bad precedent in Charlotte that two of the three most important local entities fight with each other.
Yeah.
The other point is that suddenly the people in the Board of Commissioners, and not all, because Susan Rodriguez McDowell and Ms. Mayer were against the decision of the majority. They established that they are better than the Board of Education, and they can put restrictions on them and conditions. That's not the way to work in Charlotte. I believe the tradition, bad or bad, is that each entity is respectful of the other, and don't try to be disrespectful. The way that George Dunlap tried to diminish Ernest Winston because he is a journalist. That's I won't like it as a journalist that somebody says that, even to take in consideration that Winston had worked with the all the 7 or 10 previous superintendents. He was on the top the whole time. Maybe I sometimes don't like his decisions, but I believe this is a breach of protocol in the city. Regarding the virus, I hope that came from the market, and the cicadas I am ready to see. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you, everyone. And on my take, very quickly, the cicadas, I am starting to agree with Stephen. I think they're fake. I haven't seen them. I'm dying to see them, and I'm very upset about that. The CMS thing, we've talked about this. Jenny and I talked about it on Two Queers in a Truck, and Queen George, it's who I call him, who's just a very big, he's just a very big drama queen. Everyone should not be surprised. He does this all the time. He is very performative, and I think it's so hypocritical that he's acting like he's concerned about Black and brown students when he was on the school board, and so was Velma Leak, and now they're county commissioners. And so they want everyone to think, well, I wasn't involved in all the problems over the last 10, 15 years. It's all suddenly, but now I suddenly am concerned. And so I do think it's very interesting. But what's really almost insulting, but we haven't really addressed it, and I'm not sure we will, because we don't want that between our Black and brown community, we don't want the friction. I'm sick and tired of Velma Leak act like she's speaking for all Blacks and browns, and then George Dunlap acting like suddenly he's speaking for all Black and brown. He's not. He's not speaking for all of our Black and brown families. And when you look at the data from CMS, I think it's just incredibly sad that the Hispanic population represents almost 28% of CMS students. And we don't have a voice at the table. So what Rafael said, Commissioner Susan Rodriguez, who's married into a family, but also school board member that we have, Jennifer De La Hoya, who's married into a Hispanic family as well. I do think that they are trying their best to speak on behalf of our community, but we won't have a voice until we elect a Latinx person to the school board, city council, or something. We've got to elect someone there. And as far as the coronavirus thing, I do agree with Stephen that I do think that we should have been looking into it. And I'm glad that I got to do a little shade here, Stephen. I'm glad that we now have a new president who has directed his intelligence agency to look into it, because we went through a whole year of someone who never directed him, was just spouting conspiracy theories. And had our former president said, I have directed our intelligence agency to look into this, I'm directing our scientists, he never did that. All he did was talk smack. So now I'm glad that we actually have someone. So we will talk about that in July. I think that's going to be a good topic. Because, all right. So with all that said, go ahead.
How was that shade at me?
I don't know. I just figured, because I was looking at you're the biggest one on my screen here, so I figured.
Accurate.
So
I'll take it. I'll take it. That's fine.
yeah. All right. So now let's talk about.
Compliment. Thank you, Christian. Thank you so much.
So
You're
now
an amazing, beautiful person. People often say.
Let's talk about something very exciting. It is Pride Month in America. To give us a very brief history, as brief as we can be on this show, we have Jennifer Lopez James Gunn on our show to give us kind of a, Jenny, can you, this is not rehearsed. Hey, Jenny, can you tell us how did Pride Month start, or tell us a little bit of history for those who aren't familiar with Pride Month?
Oh, bless your heart, Christian.
Yes, that's right.
But basically, you know, Pride Month came out of a series of events, and you know, the one event that we really point towards that generated why we celebrate Pride in June is because of the Stonewall Riots in 1969. And so, you know, it was, you know, a battle against the police raiding LGBT establishments, trying to outlaw basically our existence. I mean, you know, it was a constant tactic, especially in the 50s and 60s after World War II, that our, you know, gay bars, LGBT bars popped up all over the United States, different clubs, private clubs, because it was not safe for us to go to a mainstream hangout. I mean, there was not the proliferation of open and affirming businesses and churches and stuff that really existed before 1969. And so the Stonewall Riots, you know, started with a scuffle, ended with a movement, and we now celebrate that, and it kind of evolved. A year after the Stonewall Riots in June of 1970, we had the Christopher Street Liberation March, and it kind of commemorated the Stonewall Riots.
Okay.
Well, that kind of turned into, you know, over time, it went from being a march to being kind of a parade or a commemoration.
Mhm.
And just like with any holiday or memorial or anything like that, it usually evolves from a tragedy and kind of turns into something more habitual.
Mhm.
And so June traditionally is International Pride Month, and October used to be when they would do a lot of the parades.
Mhm.
And that is now become International Coming Out Month. And so that has also evolved, especially that started in Washington, D.C. in the late 70s and ran through the late 80s. And also too, a lot of that happened in October.
Mhm.
They really wanted to push the government to start funding HIV research.
Mhm.
A lot of the timing of that was political, but political not in a bad way. It was asking, you know, several different presidents to be more involved with protecting our community. And we still fight that today. We're fighting the city of Charlotte, you know, to pass the non-discrimination ordinance that they said they were going to talk about months ago, and we're still getting stonewalling and stalling and finger pointing and blaming, and it's very embarrassing, actually. You know,
So Jenny, I know, thank you for that. I don't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine.
Thank you for sharing that update. So I know that it evolved, like Stonewall is kind of like the, kind of how it started, and then and then June. But I know that a lot of the parades in cities, because not every city is big enough to have had one, just for many reasons. It used to be just the big cities. And then now, you know, Charlotte has had a Pride Festival and Parade probably since what, the 90s or 2000, or I know they stopped the parade for a while.
Well, the Charlotte Pride, you know, and I don't have all the exact dates memorized. But you got to remember, in a city like Charlotte, for example, for a long time it was illegal for us to celebrate Pride outside. By law, we had to celebrate Pride indoors. And I believe that was law till about 2004, 2005.
Wow.
So many of these laws that governed our community to ban us, like I couldn't have a gender expression as a woman being assigned male at birth. In most states, up until about 2016 or 2017, I would be arrested, even if I was seeking medical treatment and going to a therapist and all that. There was a lot of states that I actually lived in. I could have been arrested for impersonating a woman,
you know,
because this isn't ancient history. This is still stuff that we're battling right now. I mean, marriage equality just happened in 2015, you know, so these are very recent, you know, the battles, you know, started, you know, even before the 1950s and 60s. But, you know, the intensity of it, just like a lot of our civil rights movements, really heated up in the 50s and 60s, you know, and Pride was really an offshoot of that. And I'd be remiss not to name, you know, Sylvia Ramirez and Marsha P. Johnson as being credited and throwing the first bricks in the Stonewall Riots and really leading our movement to trans women of color, to people that largely get forgotten a lot of times and got spoken over in the 1970s, mainly by very assertive gay men that wanted to take control of the movement, more or less. And so there's still a lot of fight left in this battle, just because, you know, just civil rights takes a long time, and sadly.
Yeah, you know, we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen here, and maybe if everyone wants to tell us in 30 seconds or less, the first Pride, if you've been to a Pride or what it meant to you. But I do want to say that I know that one of the reasons why some of the cities have, like a lot of the California cities have their Pride Parade and Festival in June, which is traditionally when you would have it. But many of them have moved to, Charlotte had moved to August for a while, and that may be kind of scheduling dates, and also because of weather, it's too hot. I know in Texas, they have their Pride in like the end of September, 1st of October, because it's really hot in Texas in the summer. And so they wanted to get it a little bit cooler. And some states have moved it to, or cities, to October, which is a little bit more, you know, a little bit cooler to have the parades. So I do know that, but I'll tell a story towards the end about what you talk about. It's amazing what has changed. So let's go around the Brady Bunch screen and tell us if you've been to Pride, and what that meant to you and so forth. Jenny, you go first. Jenny, Stephen, Barbara, and Rafael.
Yeah, obviously I've been to a bunch of Pride events over my lifetime. They're all special to me. Every city that I've ever celebrated Pride in, everything that I've been involved with or just participated in, they all have, every city, every town that has a Pride event of some type is very unique, and it seems to be very pertaining to their area or region. So I love them all. They've all been fun. I've been to dozens of them. So, you know, obviously being in the community, that does make a difference. So yeah, I mean, it means a lot to me. It really does.
Thank you.
The first Pride I ever went to, fairly interesting, was several years ago, and I was having, you know, I was off on a Saturday. I was really bored. All my friends were doing something. I was like, well, I'm just going to take the light rail into Uptown and just walk around uptown for a while. So I get to the light rail station and it is packed. Like, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are there so many people? I'm like, okay, whatever. I get down to, uptown Charlotte and it is packed. There's people everywhere. And there's, I can hear all the sounds of where the festival is. I had no idea what was going on, right? I was completely not plugged into any of this. So I started walking in the direction of the sound. Like, obviously there's a party going on over there. Let me take a look. And, I wandered into, the Pride Festival, out of the blue. I was like, oh, this is a thing that's happening. Oh, this is kind of cool. And and I love festivals. And, I had myself a Euro and all that, went to some booths, talked to some people. And the thing I remember, there was a dude walking around with a boa constrictor boa. So, like a feather boa, right? So he had a boa constrictor, but he was like wearing it like a boa, just walking around. And it was I love snakes, right? So I was like, oh, dude, that's cool. So we started talking about, because I used to have a ball python when I was in high school, right? So we start talking about that, and that was really funny. And I remember there's this one guy, he thought it was fake, and he went up, and then when the snake moved, he jumped. He goes, "Oh my God, that's not the kind of snakes I go around." And I thought that was the funniest joke. I'm like, that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, when I joined the Libertarian Party of Mecklenburg County, I was working the booth that they had there, and I had so much fun working the booth that that I am like the go-to booth guy. So I've done that 3 years in a row, and we're almost always either next to the Democrat Party table or across from the Green Party table.
Yeah, y'all do well.
Yeah. Well, the Democrats are boring, but the Greens are a lot of fun. I really like those guys and gals. They're because they're good natured. They're fun. They're fighting the power too. The establishment, we don't get along with them as much, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and I can't wait for September because it's a great opportunity to get out there, meet people, shake hands, and it's a party. It's a gay old party, and I love it.
Yeah, excellent. Barbara?
I have never been to a Pride gala, I would call it, here in Charlotte, but when I worked near Washington, D.C., by accident, I was down there doing something else. I'm like, what in the world? And I could hear music. Kind of like you, Stephen, and walking around in high heels and suit and briefcase. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a Pride thing, And it was elaborate. It was hotter than hell. But I only stayed, I think I had a drink or something. And I mean, a Coke or a soda or something. I did not have an alcoholic beverage, but I'm still working. But I was surprised. It was a lot bigger than I thought. And there were so many people, and they actually had streets blocked off and lots of policemen, and some of them are like, but overall it seemed like it would have been fun, but I wasn't a DC person. I had to go to another meeting, but yeah, that's my only impression, and I should do, now that I know Jenny, it's I have to get involved and attend one for a change. So yeah.
Thank you, Barbara. Rafael?
I have never attended to the Pride Festival, and in Charlotte sometimes coincides with the same day that they did the Puerto Rican Festival.
Yeah, that's right.
So very hard to me to be in two places in the same day. What I have seen really is how this city that was a very conservative city that didn't allow anything related with the LGBT community. I have referenced that one of the City of Angels, or something related with angels, that is a main one of the main presentations came to Charlotte
Mhm.
the city was trying to get that presentation here, and it was really a problem in the board commissioners.
Oh.
They did-
The angels, the angels in America.
Angels in America.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yes, that's
they,
right.
they tried to have that, and it was a big thing in the board commissioners. They tried to defund the
Mhm. Yep.
group that was trying
Mhm.
to defend
Yep.
Angels in America here. And from that time to now,
Mhm.
or present day, is a change. You see
Yep.
the rainbow flag in several places of Charlotte,
Mhm.
and is no problem.
Yeah.
It's a change. It's a
Mhm.
change in the view, in the mind
Sure.
of Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think that has some history to do with the Charlotte Pride and Parade. I believe that kind of started after Angels in America, that controversy here. So thank you, Rafael. My first Pride was by accident. I think it was in 1995. I was working for American Airlines at the time, and I had free flights. And I flew my parents, my dad and my stepmom, to San Francisco, of all places. And it was during the World Cup. So we saw Brazil coming in and out of the airport and so forth. Or maybe it was 94, one of those years. Just look up the World Cup. And it was in America. And then we went downtown and we heard this music, kind of like Jenny, our Stephen and Barbara. We heard this music and bands, and then we saw people walking by with flags, and we were like, and my stepmom says, bless her heart, she said, "Oh, a parade, let's go see it." And so we walked over to the parade. I immediately knew this was a Pride parade. And I had never really been to a Pride parade. Because I just had never really been to one. And so we went, they start coming down on the floats. People were dressed, dancing and stuff. And I looked at my dad, he was like,
What's going on?
he had this smile. And so we just kind of said, oh, we left and we never talked about it. And so that was actually my first Pride parade. The next year we went to the Dallas Pride Parade, which was, I guess, technically my first like Pride parade, so to speak. And that was just so emotional because it was huge. It's a huge event. Plus I saw, I think it was 6 churches in the parade. And I had never, and I tell this story sometimes, I had never seen churches connected with, I mean, I'd seen the Metropolitan Community Church in things as well, but I'd never seen like a Lutheran church and a Baptist church and a Presbyterian church, and they were marching in the parade. And I just got so emotional, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it was like this validation that, you can, that it was just very, very emotional. So when we moved to Charlotte and they decided to start the parade again at that the next year here in Charlotte, my church, the church we were going to, a Lutheran church, decided to march in the parade. And I was in charge of, kind of like Stephen, they put me in charge of the parade, I guess, in the booth. I think we had a booth too. And all of our churches, and here, there's a lot of great churches. Myers Park has a really big, Baptist church has a big group of individuals. And it's just so wonderful to see all the churches, but just individuals, because what we know, and maybe Jenny can speak to this, there are young people, and this is the reason to me Pride is so important. There are young people who live in rural areas, maybe in families that they don't have the ability to see people who can validate that they are worthy of love and worthy of who they are, and to be able to be surrounded by people who you go, oh my gosh, they're not what people told me they were. They're bankers, they're pastors, they're politicians, they're football players, the baseball players, they're normal, they're not this demon that people, and there are still people in rural areas that they travel here. I remember, I don't know if Stephen has had this at his booth, but I had this young couple travel, I think it was 100 miles from, I want to say Eastern North Carolina, and they did not have enough money to get home for gas, but they wanted to come here. And they came here and we were talking to them. And this is when I had a booth for my campaign. And I said, how are you? He said, well, we figured that we would, maybe work some odd jobs to get back. And they didn't even have enough money to get, but they wanted to be there. And I referred them to, I think, one of the churches, and one of the churches gave them some, money and so forth. But it was just a lot of people who have never had the opportunity to be surrounded by people who love them. It's just an amazing feeling. So I encourage everyone to go to Pride, because it's full of love. It's full of, it's nothing like you probably think. I actually thought the first Pride I was going to go to was going to be just a bunch of naked people with like Mardi Gras and this. Are there a couple of people dancing on a float that are, yeah, you might. You see that here in Charlotte during the NASCAR,
Yeah.
But
or you don't want to see it.
Exactly. But the majority of people are just people who want to say love, and they're just walking through. But my funniest Pride experience was in 2017. It was after the big fiasco here in in Charlotte, when I made the unfortunate mistake of calling Dan McCready, who was running against me for Congress, word. And Julie Eisel came to his defense immediately, and she was calling me a homophobe and a misogynist and all these kind of words. And I had tweeted, Julie Eisel, get off the cross, we need the wood. And that was in August. Pride was in August, like 3 weeks later. They put me and Andrew to drive our convertible behind her convertible in the Pride parade.
Oh no.
Yes, I'm sure it wasn't planned. That was just the way it was assigned. I remember driving up, her and her contingency, and they gave me the coldest. Julie wouldn't even stare at me, and this. And Andrew's like, knew who she was, and because we had supported her 2 years before. And I'm sitting there, and I come to the conclusion at that moment, I said, why am I concerned about Julie? This is our parade.
That's right.
I mean, and so I remember just walking around her and just going, if I had been able to, I would have said, bitch, this is our parade. I'm not hiding from you, And so that was the funnest parade I think I've ever had, just being behind Julie Eisel, because it was just.
You were walking on sunshine that day, my friend.
It was great. It was wonderful. So that's our Pride. So I don't know. I mean, how do you guys, this is really, interesting to see how far we've come. And Rafael's told us some stories here in Charlotte, and I know Jenny and everyone can speak to this, but it's hard to believe, y'all, that just like in 1994 and 95, I remember 94, there were raids in San Antonio, Texas, where I lived at the time. The MPs, the military police, were raiding the gay bars, looking for military people going to gay bars. So our friends at the time would have to come to our house, park their cars because of their military stickers, and then they would go out with us because the MPs would troll through the parking lots looking for military cars. If they found one, it was cause for them to go in. And so we actually had to sneak them. And now I look back at it and I'm like, holy camole. That's just incredible to think that, and that is nothing compared to what some other communities have gone through.
Well, and two, in some instances, police and law enforcement are still raiding LGBT establishments. So that hasn't completely ended. And in some communities, people still live in fear. That's why many small town, rural LGBT members come to Charlotte Pride and larger city prides. One, because there typically is not an event in their hometown, and two, the safety factor is still real. And we see the ugly side of our society, and the fact that, Charlotte is the second most dangerous city in America for transgender people like myself. There is that real reality, and that's why we celebrate Pride.
And
on what
let's not-
ground,
let's not-
Jenny, are they raiding bars? It's,
For a lot of reasons. They can use the excuse that it's, drugs or whatever,
Mhm.
but it is, they still will do it. They still, law enforcement isn't always friendly to us. Even
It's
Charlotte,
like it's
there's
like a harassment. Yeah.
It's especially for the communities of color in our LGBT family and my siblings of color. Law enforcement still represents terror for these people, for my people, and it's still a long ways from being healed. We still have issues all over the country, even here in Charlotte. So it's not, even the controversy that many prides have asked, that if law enforcement does want to march in the parade, that they don't wear their uniforms, they don't wear firearms, that they come in civilian clothes, which to me shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. No other profession demands that they wear their uniform to participate in our parade. I'm like, this isn't a police celebration. This is a LGBT celebration. And if we invite you, you're
Hey, Jenny,
to act like it.
Jenny, let's talk about that real quickly. I know we're going to be running out of time here, but
Right.
because that was a big issue last year or the year before the Pride got canceled, I believe, or something, right? That the sheriff's department, once Pride had made the announcement that this year they were not, they wanted people to, if you want to support Pride, but we don't want people to wear their office uniforms, which, whether you're a bank, we don't want tellers to have to wear suits walking. If you work for Bank of, if you work for, Sheriff's Department.
To get to the point, Charlotte Pride last year, after months of debating that internally, we came to the conclusion that we did not want uniformed officers in our parade.
Yep.
We asked that if they want to participate, they can wear civilian clothes. I think that's not unreasonable. That uniform doesn't represent good things to everybody that's in our community, and so if it causes trauma to our community and it's a community event for us, obviously they're the ones that need to take the step back.
And there was
then
pushback.
New York, there was pushback, and then New York Pride also did that this year. And again, these are steps where we're telling certain groups like law enforcement, we want to see you do a little reform first before
we invite
you're stomping around at our events. We want to see a little bit of change, and we're asking a very small thing. We're not saying you're banned from the event. It's just the opposite. We're saying come in, but I don't wear a uniform of any kind to my events, and if I don't wear a uniform, then you shouldn't either. And especially when trauma, I mean police brutality is what started the Stonewall Riots. I mean, so we're talking about not only a current history, but a history in our entire movement of overzealous law enforcement and injustices. So really, I don't think it's really a big thing to ask law enforcement, hey, this is our event, step back.
Because we did have,
and that's all it really is.
No, I thought that was a very good point. And the reason is because I was on the fence when I heard this. And then who I completely support, Sheriff McFadden here in Mecklenburg County. Sheriff McFadden, through some unwise advice, had made a statement, if they don't want us at Pride, we're excited. If they don't want us at Pride, so I was like, well, maybe he has a point, maybe we shouldn't, we be inclusive. But then I did hear some explanations. You know what? We want you at Pride, but this is not about you. This is about this. I mean, you can come to Pride. You don't have to march in the parade to be. And that's what's so funny about a lot of these politicians who won't, especially some on the city council who are dying to ride in Pride, but they won't pass the non-discrimination ordinance. You can attend Pride. It just doesn't have to be about you.
one of the excuses that law enforcement uses to raid gay bars and gay clubs and things of that nature is the drug war. Oh, there might be drugs, there might be a drug deal. And the drug war is a really effective excuse to oppress citizens and, you know, steal their money in fines and fees, lock them in cages to establish compliance. And yet somehow the politicians who are not in opposition to the drug war are allowed to participate in these parades too, which, you know, I mean, I'm not on the commission, so what do I say? But like, yeah, this, Jenny, what you said is a great, you know, the fact that the abuses of the state that your community suffers at the hands of the state, you know, the enforcement apparatus, often drugs are used as an excuse. So I think it's a great example of why the drug war needs to be gotten rid of.
Yeah.
Because it's just used by bad actors to oppress minorities that have always been oppressed. But rather than ending on a down, you know, a Debbie Downer note, I want to highlight something that I see just as, you know, and take it with a grain of salt. I'm just a heterosexual cis white male. What do I know? But one thing that I've noticed is, like, so the Stonewall Riots happened at a time when in many places it was a crime to be a homosexual, right? That's not a good thing, right? And then within living memory, there are people who are alive today, alive and well, who were alive and well back in '69, right?
Yeah.
Within living memory, that society-wide prohibition and, like, you know, mark of shame, you know, that is no longer a society-wide scarlet letter. You know, the gay rights movement has been one of the most successful in the shortest amount of time civil rights movements in American history. Which, you know, listen, like, that's a good thing. The fact that almost every major corporation, you know, trots out the rainbow flag during June, you know, highlights how it's kind of mainstream. And while there are still problems, you know, I think, like, say, getting rid of the drug war will help ameliorate a lot of those problems. But like the fact, like, and you still have small-minded individuals here and there, but system-wide, right? Like, like Pete Buttigieg, right? 30, even 10 years ago, a gay man running for president, that wouldn't have happened, right? Or being the mayor of a city wouldn't have happened. But no one bats an eyelash these days.
Yeah, but you know what, Stephen, this is
a really positive change in the zeitgeist of our country. And I think, you know, that is also cause for celebration.
No, I completely agree with you, but I do think that we do have to be honest in the LGBT plus community, and we have to be honest and say with several reasons, but one of the reasons that the gay civil rights movement has been so successful in America, it's been about money. The reality is there's a lot of money in the LGBT plus community, and businesses want that money. That's one of the reasons. The second reason is because it has been considered a white male movement. And because it's been considered a white male movement, it's been palatable to other people, and they've been a little bit more accepting. Had Pete Buttigieg been a Black lesbian, he would never have had a chance in the Democratic Party. And so we do have to understand there's a lot of privilege in the LGBT plus community. And one of the reasons that there has been maybe sometimes within the Black community and even the Latinx community, some angst against the LGBT plus community is because whenever the LGBT plus community wants, like the Charlotte Non-Discrimination Ordinance, they ask for everyone else's help getting this thing passed. But when we ask for their help, it's silence. And that is one of the things that we have to do with Pride. And I appreciate Charlotte Pride, because it's one of the few cities that I've ever lived in where the people, the organizers, have made a personal commitment to try to make it as diverse and inclusive as possible. In Dallas, it was more talk, but it was a white male event. In Charlotte, there's a lot of white males here. But
well, I mean, also, I want to differentiate some of that language. It's white led, it's white male led. The events itself are usually very diverse, no matter what city it is. And organization wise, it's usually typically very diverse. We even let libertarians have a booth there, you know. And I mean, you know, tinfoil hats can come too. But just kidding. We love libertarian friends.
Hey,
But
the tinfoil hat is a great fashion statement.
Yeah.
it actually is. It actually is. I
And
love
it
the ones
keeps
with the
the
chin straps
CIA
too.
radio waves from reading your mind from the satellites.
Yeah, no fishing the brain, that's for sure.
Have that.
But Charlotte Pride has been very intentional, especially the last few years, of making sure that voices other than cis white males
Yes.
are leading the organization. You know, from our board president to people that are coordinators, to people that are involved with setting up the event, making sure that especially Black and brown voices are not only heard but seen, and being very intentional that this isn't a, like Christian said, I've been to Pride events where I've seen the organizers and every one of them is a cis white gay male.
Mhm.
And I'm like, was this a Pride event or a Klan meeting? You know, it's like I mean, where you
It may
don't
have been
see
both. It
trans,
may have been
you don't
both
see any
times.
trans people in leadership. You don't see people of color in leadership. You know, they'll they'll ask us to be in the parade. They'll ask us to be at the events. We'll be the face of diversity, but the
And to
actual
perform.
the seats at the table is where a lot of groups get
Yeah.
behind, and I'm glad to see LGBT organizations outside of Pride also start to put people at the table in leadership that are also diverse, like the HRC with Alfonso David, the new, or I guess he was a new president last year, that is a Black male, a Black gay male, and so you're starting to see our movement get it. You know, fighting and kicking and screaming. There is a lot of holdouts in the powers be.
Hey, Jenny, I don't think people outside of our community understand the huge changes that are occurring, because most people, they just think of, when you think of HRC Human Rights Campaign, they think that is embraced by all of the LGBT plus community. There were about 10 years, y'all, until very recently, that if you were Black and brown, or if you're a white lesbian and a white gay person, you loved HRC. You loved going to the events. It was you're the in crowd. But if you're anyone else, if you're blue collar, if you're a transgender, HRC was not the group that was for you. And none of us supported HRC. We did just because we wanted it to succeed, but it was not.
It was a very country. It was a very
Yes.
I call it a country club organization.
Yes. So there are a lot of changes.
Now, it's not to diminish the work they do.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
the actual work that they do and the purpose of the organization, you know, fighting for human rights, has been phenomenal. They've accomplished a lot, just like organizations like Equality Texas, Equality North Carolina. The ACLU has been a great partner on a lot of the change. And, you know, a point that Stephen made, there has been a tremendous amount of change in a very short order.
It's been amazing.
The things that, if you compare how quick we've been able to come to the public eye and feel safer compared to what African Americans still go through. And we think about Civil War ended in 1865. And there was no real civil rights protections for them at all until the 1960s. That was 100 years just to get laws on the books that started to change the process. And then, you know, it's still not good. There's still so many problematic practices in our country.
Or remove laws that were on the books, you know?
Yes, there's so many problems still exist. And so, you know, I'm thankful and grateful. I never thought I would see marriage equality in my lifetime. I never expected it. I never expected to be able to live the life I live. It's one of the reasons I was so fearful and took so long to come out as trans. Was really, some of it, the fear was in my head, and some of it was a realized fear. But the reality is that for people that are struggling with it right now, that will listen to the show, I hope they have the opportunity to come out and feel safe and feel loved. And that's what Pride's all about.
Exactly. Exactly. That very well said. And we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. Listen, we do value your time. We've gone over a little bit long, so we should just put the show Coffee and Pound Dulce. We go a little bit long. That should.
As George Takei might say, oh my.
Oh my. So I just want to leave, we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. Tell us where you're going to be over the weekend. And then next week's show, it's going to be fun. Who is the craziest congressperson in America? Everyone gets to vote. Bring your suggestions. I think we have 2 good candidates here in North Carolina.
Louis Gohmert's the craziest one.
Oh, hey, you know what? That's a good one. I now I have like 4 options now, because I know there's 2 here in North Carolina. Yeah, so there's quite a few. And then on the 16th, we have Why Do We Celebrate Juneteenth? We'll talk about that. And of course, we have a couple more here. So, but I just want to say, just to kind of let you know the difference between this is just what, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years ago, how much HRC has changed. And it was just a huge change here in the United States. 4 years ago in 2017, that Pride Parade I was talking to you about, members of the HRC who were aligned with Julie Isil and Dan McCready, they were the good gays, so to speak. They organized people during that parade at different sections of to boo me in the Pride Parade. And this is really crazy. They would run, yeah, you could see them running in the Pride Parade to different corners, and they would boo, boo. And it was just so hilarious. It was something organized by Dan McCready's gays, and it was just, it was really kind of funny to me. So every time they did that, Andrew and I kissed. And we got we got so much applause. So I want to thank the HRC gays at that time, because it was a great get. We never planned on it, and we don't kiss in public. And that was just, it was really fun. So with that said, let's go around the break.
And I'm sorry I missed that.
Well, they were pretty good. They were very loud booers. I was like, anyway. So, but it was funny because I'm sitting on the back of the convertible. I could see them running. And then later, someone told me, oh, Dan McCready's campaign, the gays that support him, they organized this booing thing. And I'm like, what's so stupid? And Dan McCready, it wasn't even in the parade. It's like,
yeah, whoever saw him at most things anyway.
Yeah, anyway. So, but
I think he showed up for like what, half an hour, and then they left.
And his wife did all the talking. Yeah.
But we've learned a lot in the last couple of years, and the great thing about America is we can get over things. So let's go to the Brady Bunch screen. Jenny, Stephen, Barbara, and Rafael, tell us where you're going to be over the next couple of days.
Well, tonight I'm going to be at the National Organization of Women's Charlotte's June social. We're going to celebrate Pride Month, and it'll be our first in-person social since February of 2020. We're going to have at the Noda Brewery on North Tryon, and I believe it's 2921 North Tryon, but it'll start at 6:30. Everybody's welcome. You don't have to be a member to come to our event. Love to see everybody. But it is going to be outside. They have a little covering. We've secured a little they have like a little cabana thing. It holds probably about 60 or 70 people. So if it does rain, it's a rain or shine event. Either way, we're coming out.
When is that, Jenny?
Tonight, 6:30.
Oh.
Yeah.
You may be joined by a lot of runners because it's National Runners Day today, and I won't go into notice, so be prepared.
Okay.
That's fabulous. The more the merrier. But it is at 6:30 tonight. It's the first Wednesday of the month, so obviously that's when we have our meetings. Now they've been all virtual since most of last year and all of this year so far. So this will be our first in person. It's going to be a light. We're not going to have a guest speaker. It's just going to be more of a social, get reacquainted with each other and just see each other in a nice, safe outdoor event. And love to see y'all. And so that's where I'm going to be.
Thank you, Jenny.
And if you want to know more about the Pride schedule, Charlotte Pride has a huge Facebook page. We have a website, which is, charlottepride.org, which has the complete schedule. So the first event, the major event, is Charlotte Pride Weekend of Service, which starts August 21st and 22nd. And then it continues from there. And we have all kinds of events for the next, from August all the way through the first 2 weekends of November. So every month in that time period, we'll have major events.
Thank you.
Well, my week will not be nearly so exciting. We have inventory at work this week, so we're just getting prepared for that. Woo! Inventory. And this weekend, I don't know, I'm probably going to do something with my political buddies to fight the power, but to go against the establishment, to punch up, as it were. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to hang out. Just keeping an eye out for those cicadas. I got all these recipes, and I know Kristen and Barbara both want to try my teriyaki cigar recipe. So I just have to wait for them to come out.
Okay, I'll wait. No. I am going to be homebound except for tomorrow. My friends up in Winston-Salem invited me to come up and help them. Their daughter got married, and there's all kinds of things they want to do. And I'm more the organizing person, so I'm going up there to help them. My first trip up there, it's been March, the second week of March, right before the stay in place. That's the last time I was there.
Wow.
So I can't imagine.
Excellent.
Fun.
Rafael?
I'm going to be this afternoon with Alexandra Vilches and a couple of Spanish language teachers. We will have a gathering this afternoon. And I want to ask a question. Maybe everybody knows about Rich Torres.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
He is right now a congressman. He's the first Afro-Latino
Yes.
congressman in the United States.
Out of New York.
Yeah.
New York. Yep. Yes, I completely, you're right, Rafael. Thank you for reminding us. I forgot about that. He's the first Afro-Latino congressman elected. I think he's out of New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rafael. Tell me when you're finished so I can.
Basically, is that I'm gonna be this afternoon very happy to see Alexandra. That has been almost a year that we.
Excellent. Well, a little interesting history what Rafael said, and I'm gonna take this off when I say this. So he's the first Afro-Latino elected. He's an LGBTQ plus individual, but he actually changed the U.S. House of Representatives caucus system, because when he was elected, they were require him to decide whether he was going to be a member of the Black caucus or the Hispanic caucus. They were making him make a decision, and he stood up and said, I'm not going to choose the Black side of me or the Hispanic side of me. I am who I am. And so is America. He's the first person to be allowed to join both caucuses. And as a result of that, he has changed the caucus. Yeah, it's an incredible achievement. And I don't think even within our own Black and brown community, we have members here in Charlotte that are Dominican, that are Afro-Latinos, and they have always their entire life had to decide whether they were Black or Latino. And here in Charlotte, they are welcomed by both groups. So that is an amazing story. All right, thank you, Rafael, for that bit of history. That was something we probably should have mentioned, because that was very important during Pride Month. So I will not be wearing this mask because it's kind of hard to see out of it. We are actually staying home this weekend. We're not camping, but I do want to thank my dear friend and my BFF, Jennifer. I keep wanting to call you Jennifer Lopez, Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I want to thank you so much. Because of her, everyone knows I have a collection of chanclas, and we do a chancla show 2-3 times a year. Because of Jenny, I now have my Pride chonkless. And I will be wearing these the entire month of June. They are very throwable, and the spanking. And
The question is, Kristen, are you going to be wearing them with socks?
I actually do wear socks with chanclas. Yes, I'm going to be that old
Why
man.
am I not surprised?
My feet are very tender, so so I will lend these to Barbara when we do see the cicadas, since she doesn't live far, so we can knock them out of the air if they fly around from us. So I do want to thank you, Jenny, because we have a two pair here in the house. And I have an extra pair, by the way, for Jenny to donate to someone who would like an extra pair. So with that said, we are going to end our Pride show. And we do thank you. We did go over once again. Thank you, Rafael, everyone, for joining us today. Stay on so we can do the promo. And we will end with Jenny on the other Jenny on the block. Jennifer.
Well, that was quick.
That was incredible.
That's what she said.
Let's try this one. All right, well, I don't know what that is. It's from Pride Radio. So, oh, I think we know. Jenny and I were looking for old school Pride music, you know, from Whitney Houston and
Oh my God, really?
all that stuff, and I couldn't find it. So this is for all you youngins out there. This is. All right, bye, y'all. Okay, let me see how do we end this.